Hi everyone, and welcome back to the reality Shakeup. Welcome back to episode 2. We have Courtney Dunn with us from Brimbank Youth Services. She's a youth worker there. I'm the host. My name is Krishnadevsi Champaksi Ravalji, otherwise known as Kano, and I'd like to introduce my co-host.
Rebecca. My name's Rebecca, and I'll be interviewing together with Kano.
Over to you, Courtney.
Hello, my name's Courtney. I've just started as a Youth Wellbeing and Belonging Officer at Brimbank Youth Services. So very excited to be here.
Perfect. Thank you for making the time to be here. I guess I want to get your opinion. What's some work that you do that you're involved with the young people?
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah, as I said, just started, so just diving into it at the moment. But I've been working in the LGBTIQA plus space. So we have a community-based program that called Crystal Queer that I've been co-facilitating. We do a lot of work in schools as well, so it's been nice just to start meeting with schools. And some other things. Tuning into teens as a parenting program, so supporting parents to tune into their teens and kind of manage that sometimes turbulent period in a parent and child life. And we're also coordinating the Resilience Youth Australia survey. So that's with primary and secondary schools. And we're just going to get a huge data set of, what young people are going through, how they're feeling, and, that'll really, be super helpful in terms of, preparing programs, meeting needs, and especially following this, almost 2 years of COVID and seeing kind of, how young people are going and how we can support them. So, that's just in the first couple of weeks. So we'll see what else happens.
Perfect. And I think you mentioned that, you started fresh, but you've been working in this field for many years. And I guess, did you work in a similar sector before, or was it somewhere else?
Yeah, no, I worked right on the other side of town in Greater Dandenong, so working in their youth services team. So a similar role, working with all kinds of young people, predominantly focusing on running programs and events just to build the capacity of young people, build their skills up, and also foster a sense of, community belonging. And, I think that will be something that's so important coming out of this COVID period. So, certainly work that I look forward to continuing here in Brimbank.
So with the work that you're doing now, how would you say it's changed since the pandemic has started? Because I imagine it's a lot of engagement with young people, and would you say they're more or more disengaged, more engaged or less engaged?
I would say more engaged. We, in my past role, COVID kind of just started unfolding, and you were like, what can we do right now? Like, we can't meet people face to face. We can't have our usual programming. Like, how do we adapt to this new world that we're living in? So we started conducting check-ins, check-in phone calls with some of the young people who are already connected to our service. And it was kind of a structured approach, be like, look, I'm just here to see how you're going, like what's going on for you. We can talk every week. We don't even have to talk if you don't want to. This is all about you and how I can support you as a youth worker. We found that young people really took us up on that offer, and, maybe, there was varying levels of, issues that people were going through. But, for the most part, the young people just enjoyed having someone to talk to, and maybe people who hadn't previously, sought to speak to someone or, didn't really know how beneficial that could potentially be for them. So, in my experience, young people were just more open to, just talking, which I think is such an important first step, and just to have a trusted adult around, maybe outside of their family, especially given that they were more than likely living on top of, each other. So, just someone outside the family home that they could talk to. So,
would you say it's maybe because they needed an outlet more than they needed one before, since the restrictions?
Yes, I would say so. I think there was a lot of, complex issues at play, for everyone. Everyone experienced, COVID in a different way, and different things came up. So, certainly it was change,
No.
varying degrees, but change. And, I think it showed that people were really open to talking about it and, having that outlet.
Yeah, I think definitely agree on the talking to someone. I think, becoming from a migrant myself, I don't think we don't have those dialogue with my parents about mental health, how things have been. And I think being in lockdown for so long, it's like, as you said, you're trapped with the same people and you don't have those normal outlets, whether that's playing, going outside, meeting your friends, or, going out to the movies or something like that. So you're internalize a lot of things. And I think, one thing that I also found was talking it out was helpful. But it is, I think even getting to that point is tough. And I think having services like that where, you're going in there and be like, hey, I'm here for you, rather than, I think sometimes it's difficult for a young person, even myself, to be like, hey, I need help. But if someone's offering that help, it's more easy to, I feel like, to say yes. And did you find that in the work that you did?
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's not framed as, do I need help? It's like, I'm just here if you want to chat, and it's the ball's in your court, and, we can just talk and that's it. We can talk, and, if you want to talk about, some of the issues you're having, and maybe there's some services out there that we can, refer you to. It's really putting the young person in control and validating how they're feeling. Not feel like there was this maybe a bit of comparison going on, particularly when the COVID pandemic first unfolded. It was like, oh, but, people have it so much worse than me, and, not validating your own experience. So I think that was really important, just to have someone to listen and really acknowledge that, yes, this is, no matter what your circumstances are, this is a really hard issue, a hard experience. And, I'm here to listen. And if that's all it is, then that's okay. But if there's more that I can do, I'm here. I think that was just our approach across the board. So, yeah.
So by allowing the youth to control the narrative around the way that they were dealing with COVID, was there any themes or experiences that were common amongst the people that you talked to?
I guess it was mental health, but, not often just framed as my mental health. It was kind of like a journey to get to that place, and just, kind of, I'm feeling all these feelings, or like, my heart's like real tight kind of thing, like what's going on? So just kind of working through that process and saying, that's, anxiety, or, some kind of mental health concern, and just some strategies to kind of manage how they were feeling, or support services that are out there, just letting them know whether they want to take it up now, or not, maybe later, just letting them know that services are around. Mental health was a big one. Study and education support, a huge one, without a doubt. And, also, not having an appropriate space in the home with which to study, or having, no one there to support them. Like, the teachers, were doing their best, but it's just not the same experience as being in a classroom and just putting your hand up and getting that help. So, the education support was a huge one, and just the space in the home. I did have different kinds of responses around family relationships. So some strengthened, to be honest. They really, it was maybe the first time the family unit had really kind of hung out and spent quality time together. I'm sure they've been all busy doing their own thing, living their own lives, as we do, but they were kind of forced to, go out on these family walks and have their hour of exercise together, or like eat dinner together. So those stories were really lovely to hear. But on the contrary, they were also, it was a stressful time, living on top of each other constantly, and so sometimes family relationships were strained as a result. So how do you manage that, communication, acknowledging that everyone's going through some stuff, so kind of working together in a way. So yeah. And, there were plenty more, I guess, themes that were coming across as well. Isolation was a huge one. Just spending all your time at a screen all day. There's so much that's coming out of it. It was, extremely, just horrible times. Basically. But, it was great that young people felt confident and comfortable to talk about how they were feeling.
And I think that's a big thing. There's so many things at play. There's so many factors at play. You need that outlet, or you need something to be that positive light. I think last year, I don't know how many days we were in lockdown, but seeing the case numbers every day, and then seeing the presses, and it's like, when's this going to end? I think that hope slowly started to decay for me. It's like, we're going to get out. But then it just kept on going and going. And I think that loneliness that kicks in, and that that you don't have that hope to keep on going. Was that common in other young people?
Yeah, I think a huge thing you just touched on there was seeing the case numbers every day and the total saturation or oversaturation of the news. And it's it was all COVID and all the time, and it was all negative, and it was about our numbers, and I feel like it was overwhelming for everyone. It was overwhelming for me. It was so just putting boundaries around that was really important. But just that was a huge thing that came up with young people as well. But also misinformation was a big one. So just the news was everywhere. All different all different channels, and knowing who to trust and where to go, and like all these conflicting messages. Like we're drowning in it. So how do you kind of decide what's true and what's not? How do you fact check?
That's true.
It was a difficult time, and and you spoke also about that hope, and it was I actually experienced the same. Like we're in this kind of just cycle, and it's just living day to day, and you look forward to the weekend, but then you're bored, and then you look forward to the week, and then you just want to like kind of fast forward time, and I think having that hope is so important, but I feel like we didn't have it for a long time. I think that was really hard, just knowing when we could start planning our lives again. That's a whole nother story.
That's true. I feel like we were just going on this walk forever, and we kept on getting distracted with these little things that come along the way. We never got to the destination. So, and I think for young people as well, because that's the age where you're planning so much of your future, this and that, and to not have an idea of what that's going to look like, even like as an older person, that's very, I don't know what the word for it is, but it feels like you're getting nowhere, and it's easy to make, to blame yourself, but also like that can affect your self-worth as well, and make you feel like, oh, I'm not able to do as much as I planned to do. All these things didn't go my way. So now I just feel like a bit of a failure. And like what you're saying about comparing how it's different for everyone, and some people maybe they coped a little bit better than others. Maybe that was outside of their control. And hearing, especially with social media, I feel like it can be a bit hard when everyone's posting about how they're dealing with lockdown, and then instantly you start comparing yourself, and you're saying, why am I not feeling the way they're feeling, or why am I not using this time to exercise more, read more, like all those things. And I think especially with younger people being more attached to social media, it makes it a bit more difficult to kind of disconnect. You're isolated, but you're also like very immersed in the online world. Does that make sense?
No, I 100% agree. I think, I don't know if I'm going to frame this correctly, but I like to say we're more connected than ever, but more lonely at the same time.
Yeah.
I think.
True, yeah.
And I think, moving on now, I think we talked about COVID, and I think the good thing is there's vaccines out there where, hopefully going back to a normal. And I guess I wanted to ask from you that, we are coming out of normal. I think people, have experienced trauma, and, it's important to not, validate that and be like, hey, I've been through this. So what are you, I guess, how are you in your work or in your personal life now, moving from the COVID situation, the trauma that was experienced, to now going back to normal life?
That's yes, we've covered the COVID. Oh, what a journey. And now we're kind of easing back into a new COVID normal, and and what that looks like. and it's so different for everyone. I've spoken to, so many people, friends, family members, young people, and everyone's really going through something different, and a mix of emotions as well. Like there's the excitement and happiness to be reunited with friends and family. But then there's also on the flip side this nervousness and anxiety around, a huge change actually. Like we got used to our life.
A long time, like almost 2 years. That's hectic.
Exactly. So this is kind of the new challenge, managing our excitement and our anxiety around, what life is looking like, coming out of COVID lockdowns, hopefully anyway. But I guess, myself, I'm quite a planner. I plan all the outings for my friendship group. And I was just so excited, and I was like, let's do this and let's go here and let's book this in. And I just found I got so overwhelmed with doing that. And, I might have been overwhelming my friends too. And so I've since just kind of taken a step back. I've had a few quiet weekends where I haven't tried to,
bombard
be out all day every day over the weekend. So just really acknowledging that I really needed to do it at my own pace, and there was no rush. You can take it slow. You do it at your own pace. Take your time. We've got the rest of our lives to live now. It's kind of what I was saying. I think I can't stress that enough, is that you really have to re-enter the world at your own pace. You acknowledge that there are things that are not within your control, but there are things that are within your control. You are in control of your mindset. You're in control of how much news you watch or social media that you're exposed to. You're in control of who you see, and for the most part, and how you see them, in terms of your friends. And just really taking it at your own speed, and not feeling rushed by anyone. Setting your own personal boundaries, deciding what they are, how comfortable you feel, and setting those. It's also okay if you're not even ready to re-enter. You need to, take a bit more time to, get used to the new lay of the land, and be okay with asking for help as well, and talking that out. Being in charge of your own COVID-safe behaviours when you do choose to go out and kind of re-enter society. So there's plenty there. There's just so many emotions, and so many things we're in control of, so many things we're not in control of. But you can only do your best.
I was going to say, if you were in friendship groups, or perhaps your friends were reacting differently to how you were reacting, and maybe you were less excited about going back, or you felt anxious about it, how would you have those conversations with your friends, or even family, or anyone really?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Because some people might, we're all feeling differently. Such a good question. I think, as I said, just deciding what your personal preferences are and what your boundaries are. Having an honest conversation with your friend or family member. If they're your friend or your family member, they love you, and they want to support you and in how you're feeling. So just being open and having that open communication with them. Tell them why you're feeling that way and what your apprehensions are. Maybe they're, together you can work through some strategies to potentially see each other or connect virtually. But I think that honesty is really important. If you don't feel comfortable having that conversation, or you don't want to share, how you're feeling about it, there are ways that you can kind of, ease back into it. If you're feeling comfortable to do so, you can, set yourself I say, firstly, again, go at your own pace. Take it as slow as you need to. Maybe start with catching up with one friend as opposed to entering a friendship, circle or like a group of friends. You might want to set a time limit. So, I'm really feeling a bit nervous. I'll hang out for an hour.
Put the alarm on.
Yeah. I'll, and let your friend know prior to, prior to your hanging out time that you'll have to leave in an hour. You can tell them, the real reason why, or you can just say, I have to leave in an hour and just leave it at that. It really depends on how you're feeling. Yeah. But, at least when you're there, the end point. There's an end point. But I think another thing maybe a lot of us have really learnt to love is those outdoor gatherings. An outdoor picnic or a walk. Walk with some coffee or some water, whatever floats. And just getting out into nature. So I think, it's certainly a COVID safe behaviour is certainly more safe than meeting indoors. So if you can, if Melbourne weather is nice to us, although I have been known to go for these walks in the rain due to I really needed to get out. Try for an outdoor activity. If food is involved, which it's always fun. Try and have individually packaged foods or just something each, and then just say, no, I'm not sharing my food. That's for me. It's yum.
I think that's a very good point. Yeah, you make that, Courtney, and I think I really vibe with when you said that we're going back to normal and we have limited time. There's not a set time like, oh, you have to meet up with your friends the next week, or you have to organize all your catch-ups in the one weekend. But this is going to be hopefully the new normal, and there's no rush to get out there and do everything. So go at your own pace. And I think the other thing is, if you need to wear a mask if you're out with your friends, that's completely okay. You're doing it for your own safety and for your family and friends' safety, and there's no shame in doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. You can still maintain those COVID safe behaviors. You can a metre and a half apart. Yeah, wear your mask if it feels comfortable. Sometimes I've seen the cutest masks. They're like fashion accessories. So, go for it. And another thing actually is, which I kind of was feeling as well, was greetings with people.
That's what I was laughing.
Before we had an awkward. I thought we were gonna hug, and then she went for the hug. And so it was very. I'm like, I don't know.
What you thought we were? We weren't.
I thought we weren't.
Oh, okay. So what happened was me and Kano haven't met in person because we started doing the working together thing all online. So today was the first day that we were meeting in person. And now that you're telling me this, I'm like, I probably should have asked, and I just didn't take it into consideration. I'm a very outward kind of person, and maybe because I've just grown up always being like that I forgot that I haven't actually met him in real life. So I feel like I should have asked, is it okay? Or I should have just, not even handshake, just said hi from a distance. So that's what I will take into consideration now when I'm meeting people. And maybe it would change. Maybe people that I have met before lockdown, they might feel some way about seeing people face to face. So I think I need to be more respectful of that.
Yeah. I think, first-hand experience, but a great learning and a great learning that you're now able to share.
Yeah.
I think that's a big one. For me, it's always been a thing because I'm not a big hugger or kisser, and some people are, and I love that about other people. But I always feel like, oh no, is it a hug or a hug-kiss greeting, or is it just a kiss? I don't know. It was always been a stressful time for me, but I think even more so now. So you can kind of see someone coming towards you, and they're so excited to see you. And you're like, oh, I think they're going in for the hugs. They're that excited to see me. Let's embrace the elbow bump for a bit longer.
Yeah,
right. My tip would be to stick your elbow out
in advance,
real early. Let them know.
Right.
I think just have that kind of body language ready. We're going in for the elbow bump. It's still cool. It's still around. Which is kind of what I do anyway when I greet people. I have the body language that says,
I don't want to hug.
Not a hugger, sorry. So COVID was really good for that.
Exactly.
But definitely prepare for for a greeting.
Yeah.
'Cause as you say, it's so natural, and you know, it's something we've really yearned for, a lot of us anyway.
Yeah.
Just that personal connection, and,
Yeah.
and you know, So
That's true.
you know, if you feel safe to do so, you can hug. Wear your mask while you hug,
Yeah.
but you know, let's keep embracing the elbow bump for a bit longer. It's
That's
good.
true.
It's cool.
Yeah. So kind of related to that in terms of maybe now, because we're out of lockdown, and even though we're feeling lonely before, but now we kind of maybe want to put ourselves out there more in terms of making friendships and even like relationships, even dating, everything. Like with young people, I feel like there's either the mindset where I don't want to do anything, like give me some time, and there's the other mindset of I've wasted so much time and I just want to be out there and I guess just make up for lost time in terms of friendships and connections and all those things. And I guess what kind of advice would you give in terms of making those connections while still being conscious of not just the physical distancing, but also the mental? You know, some people have gone through a lot of things in the past couple of 2 years, and maybe they don't want to talk about it, or maybe they do, but just having those conversations as we went through it together, but you might have had a different experience. And is it something you bring up when it's a new friendship or a new relationship? So yeah.
Yeah. Boom. Yeah, look, I think, I guess in terms of making new friendships, I think it's a really exciting time to be able to do that. And, I think, COVID is a bit of a hot topic, and has been for maybe the last 2 years. But, I think people are quite, not everyone, but, I've found people to be quite open about their experience. And I think once we kind of got past the comparing, our own grief with other people who, are going through more than us. And I say that with the quotation marks because you might not be able to see me. But, I think, I hope that we've maybe come further, and we've all been on this journey together. We've all been locked down for 200 plus days, in a year and a half kind of span. And I think if you feel comfortable enough to share that experience, I think, people are happy to listen and happy to share. If it's not something that you feel comfortable discussing, I think, if you feel comfortable to do it, just try and be honest. And there might come a time when you feel okay about it. Like it's still very fresh and very raw for many, and many people have been through so many different things. So I think because we've all been through it together, I think people would understand that if you're not quite ready to talk. But I think just open communication is super important in this, and just on both sides, just respecting each other's experiences and what they're willing to share, and their boundaries if they're not willing. I think we'll be able to we will look back and be able to take away a lot of positives from this time. People have been so resilient. They've been so flexible, so adaptable. Think of the school year, in and out of remote learning, this thing that nobody knew what it was, 2 years ago, and, in and out, exams, online, and, basically teaching yourself at school. It's unheard of. I think, we all need to kind of reflect on what we've gained from this time, and maybe it's an appreciation of friendships, and whether it's, I want to make new ones because I want to have this experience, or the existing friendships that you had. It might have went the other way as well. Like, oh, that maybe wasn't a great friendship, but it's a great time for reflection, but focusing on what we learned and those positives that can come out of this pretty horrific experience.
That's true.
I think it's interesting that you mentioned that we should reflect and focus on the positives, because I think normally when we think of the COVID word, it's almost, we have that big negative connotation, like, oh, that's terrible. But I think, looking back on it, we survived a big thing, and I think we should give ourselves credit, and especially the young people in school or in university, they had to almost like in and out of, oh, we're doing in person now, you're going to switch everything to online. So I think it's giving them, take that credit and be like, look, I survived this. I've gotten through it, and whatever life throws at me in the future, I can overcome that as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think, everyone should be so incredibly proud of the fact that they're here and they've endured this and, they've bounced back.
Yeah.
Whether that's a journey that's ongoing, but we've been through a lot, and props to us. We nailed it.
Especially Victoria.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
But it was interesting when you said, about like friendships, maybe sometimes they were lost or they got broken through during lockdown, and even family relationships. I'm just thinking, I think it's really easy to get into that mindset of, I saw the person for who they really are and now we're just not friends, or I don't want to continue being this close with this person. But I think sometimes we forget that we were living in, what's the word? I guess extraordinary circumstances, or just in situations that wouldn't be normal in general. So I think sometimes, even though we do maybe saw the negative traits of people or things that we didn't know about them, things that came out, maybe because it was of the external circumstances that stressed them out or that led to that situation. So even me right now, I'm doing some live reflecting, and I'm thinking, if I do see people who I thought maybe, the lockdown confirmed for me that they're no longer people I want in my life, I think maybe reevaluating and thinking that maybe it was because of the circumstances that they became that person, and giving time after lockdown to see if those things continue before I make my decision about it. So I think, and I like, even just me observing other friends who've also made those kind of decisions during lockdown, I think it's a really volatile time to be making really decisive decisions just in general, but really, what's the word? Like really, to feel really affirmatively about something. And I think maybe reflecting back will be really helpful to see, maybe I wasn't being the best person I could be, and how maybe now that circumstances are changing, I'm also changing, and it's not always going to be a bad or a good thing, but it's just happening. So I think that's another note to reflect on. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't want to say it, but unprecedented time.
Yeah, see, I was avoiding using that because didn't want it to be one of those conversations, but yeah, it is. And I think we forget that because it's been going on for so long that we think that this is just the norm and it's going to be like this forever. But it's just another thing that we've gotten through and we're still going through, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point that you raise in terms of, you may have maybe reflecting on relationships, during those lockdown periods when, things weren't normal.
Yeah.
And I think coming back now as we are easing into new normal and potentially giving it another chance in a more kind of normal environment, going for that walk together and just kind of seeing how you vibe, and whether, things have changed since lockdown or things have changed since before lockdown, like just where you're at now, because no doubt many of us will come out of this experience as different people.
Yeah.
Whether you're still vibing together or not, that's they're decisions that you can make now and you can think about and give another crack and see how you go.
True.
So and I think when we're young people, I think especially coming out of school in that uni phase, we do go through a lot of friendship circles. I don't think we don't have a solid base. If people are changing, we might see our friends every day at school. Then school doesn't happen, and you might lose a few friends. And I think in COVID, you didn't really feel like you didn't lose friends because you didn't meet any other people, so you couldn't really replace them anyone.
Yeah.
So it's all like, are we still friends? Or like, are we going to catch up after 2 years?
That's so true. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And it's pressure as well sometimes to feel like, that we've been talking so much because it's been online, and now that it's face to face, you continue that consistency, but maybe you don't have as much time anymore, or maybe because it was face to face, and let's say perhaps you were naturally a very anxious person about seeing someone face to face, then it changes the dynamic, and I only felt comfortable seeing you that much because it was online. But that's a whole other conversation, and I don't know how you could even have that conversation that you feel like they were a better friend online without really saying that. So and you won't really realize until later down the track once restrictions have eased and you start seeing them face to face, and you might say, that's actually a bit too much for me, or it's just because I feel like online can be a different kind of vibe in general than face to face. So
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it is. I think that's a very, very interesting point in that we haven't met anyone new, and we've been super reliant on the friends that we had that we had 2 years ago, and some of those friendships will last forever, but we move in and out of friendship circles, especially when we're young, and would you still be friends or would you like grow out of each other? Just like navigating all your friendships again, and maybe trying to make more, different friends, and how do you do that again?
Exactly. That's the whole other
Where do you meet
thing.
people?
What?
Literally. And also maybe not taking it personally if, a person doesn't want to see you that much anymore, or you decide you don't want to see them. I don't think it's anything specific about that person, but maybe, you guys just not compatible in that way anymore, or you just,
Yeah, I feel like often it's something that's kind of missed, like, when partners break up and, it just didn't work for us, and, we're not compatible.
Friends can break up too.
Yeah, we just go our separate ways. Yeah, I feel like it's less
true.
accepted, but it should be okay. Like, two people, there doesn't have to be an incident or anything. Two people can just grow out of each other. And
that's the other thing. Like, you might not
trajectories.
need to have a conversation about it if you both already are feeling it and it's just drifting apart. It doesn't need to be this big dramatic thing that, yes, we broke up as friends and it's not happening anymore. But maybe now you might feel the pressure more now that you are seeing them face to face. Maybe people did slowly become reluctant during lockdown to see their friends, and that was a sign that they were wanting to end the friendship. But maybe they just had, the other friend thought it was more because of lockdown, and that would be a really awkward conversation to have.
Yeah.
But I think it's also, okay, so I feel like sometimes we create friendships or connections with people because of the situation that we're put in, and because we want to have that connection. I know I play a lot of video games, and some of my friends I haven't met that I play video games with ever, even in person. So it's like, and now our social hangout spot is the video game, and so like hanging out in person's like, it's a bit weird now. It's like, oh, why don't we just?
So you
play?
would never meet them?
No, I would, but it's just, it doesn't come natural.
Okay.
To me, it's like, oh, let's just jump on tonight. Let's play some video games, talk about life. But now meeting up in person, it's like, what are we going to do? What are we going to talk about? So I think it's okay to, I feel like, have those online relationships, which we go into another topic. But I think it's interesting that the world we live in now, it's like we're so super connected, and we do have those online connections, and that's that they have their own place. And then we also have like in-person connections, which I think is interesting.
The pandemic has validated online relationships more, because before, probably if you didn't see that person face to face, it's like, oh, it's not that serious of a friendship or whatever. But now that that was the only option for you to see them like that, now people take it more seriously. Oh yeah, we'd met during the pandemic, haven't seen them like in person, but we're still really good friends. Like, that weighs more weight, exactly, compared to if it was pre-lockdown. So
and how important those online friendships can be. Like, they, for a lot of people, got us through the hard times. So they certainly have their place. They're so important. Definitely. But times are changing. It's just the way of the future. You gotta embrace it.
And just to, I guess, wrap up this whole conversation, I want to ask you a question around, we've gone through some tough times, and you might do some reflecting and find some bad stuff. And I think now it's important to explore that and find, not get over it, but I don't know what the correct terminology is. Correct me if I'm wrong, but get past that. And I guess, how would you recommend me reaching out for help? Because I think sometimes, even for me, if I'm going through tough times, reaching out for help is like one of the last things that I'll do. What are your tips for young people if they're going through a tough time, maybe because of the pandemic or other stuff now that we're going back to normal? What would you recommend?
Such an important question, and I could think in one way or another we're all going through something, and and people feel very differently about asking for help, but help doesn't need to be doesn't need to be that something's wrong, or it's as simple as just having a chat with someone, and just, instead of it being sitting inside of you, it's out there, and it's air, and you can have someone to listen to you and to validate how you're feeling. Like, that's okay. How you're feeling is yours, and it's fine to feel that way. There's help that can come from there. But you do have to just, trust in the process, and maybe just take that step. But just know that there are people who want nothing but to help you and to see you thrive. Whether you've met them or not, it could be, a trusted family member. Maybe it's someone, it's not necessarily your immediate family. Maybe it's an extended family member. Yeah, maybe it's exactly. It's someone you've met playing video games. It's a trusted friend, like a truly trusted friend who, has your best interests at heart. Or it could be, it may be that you don't want to talk to someone you know and you want to talk to someone you don't know. And I think that's where, youth services and youth workers have a really important role. As a youth worker, my job is to listen and support young people. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it can be, the young person drives that. It's they can, come once, never again. They got what they needed off their chest. They can come, as little or as much as they want. The young person is in control. It's sometimes you just need to take that first step. And there are plenty of services around as well. I speak from the service that I know, that I'm a part of, but there are so many amazing services, and we're really lucky to have that available to us. But also, it may be that you're not a phone call person, or you don't want to meet them face to face. You don't want them to see your face. There are some really awesome, hopefully you've heard of them before, but really awesome like hotlines and e-chats that are available anytime, 24/7, to help and support. You've got the Kids Helpline, you've got eHeadspace, you've got the Beyond Blue chat. There's so much out there, and again, they're just there waiting for you and wanting to help you and support you in whatever that looks like. It's a phone call, the e-chat, so you can just type. You don't have to have your voice heard, your name read, or anything like that. So utilize these services. Take that big first step. And another thing is, if you do take that step and you don't have a great first experience, there are so many other people who can help you. So just give it another go. Sometimes you just need to find your right match. It's kind of like finding a friend. You just got to find the person that vibes with you, and it may not be the first time, but just remember that people are out there and they want to help you, and you just take that first step, whatever that looks like, a chat, a phone call, an in-person conversation, or reach out to a trusted adult or a trusted friend.
I was just going to add in, or it's another question, I guess, but a lot of the resources and help are more so dependent on the person taking that step, right? So the person that's being affected. What about in terms of if you're noticing someone that's being affected, or they are not ready, don't want to have that conversation maybe, and how can you be there for them without forcing these resources or this professional help on them?
Yeah, such a good question again. I think, it can be your role as someone who provides them with the tools. They're independent people, and they'll make their own decisions. But if you provide them with the tools and just let them know that you're there. Don't rush them. You're there when they are ready. Just let them know that whenever that time comes, if it ever comes, you'll be there. You could send them a website. If you feel like it, just don't put any pressure on people to seek support. But I think knowing that someone is there and ready, I think can be really empowering for someone. And just having that support that they're not alone in this is really important. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Courtney, for your time and for your valuable advice. And I think it's a really big point around taking that first step. I think we talked about some of the issues or some of the things that young people have gone through, and not just young people, everyone has gone through during this, this during this tough 2 years, and it's important to acknowledge that. And you know what? Now we are getting out of normal, getting out of COVID and going back into COVID normal. So it's important to recognize that and then move on. And it doesn't have to be all at one go. You can take your time. So thank you so much for your time and you're giving us your insights. And thank you so much for the work that you do. Also like to thank my co-host Beck and cameraman Tim in the back. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you guys got something out of it. And yeah, we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you.